To set the scene for me, I got involved by getting a hold of Trent Bell in 91 or 90. I was 14 years old and I knew that I wanted to somehow be involved in the music business. And I got what then was called a phone book out. We had phone books and I had everybody's names and numbers listed. And I called every recording studio in the phone book, and Trent Bell was the only person that actually gave me any sort of time, and he led me to a gentleman. He's turned me on to a gentleman. How do I say that? Long story short, I called Bell Labs, unbeknownst to Trent Bell. Trent, he didn't have any work for me at his facility, but he knew of a guy that had a sound company that needed cable runners and just needed help in general, whatever. So he gave me his number. That was Bill Nunez. Bill Nunez would pick me up. I think I was 15 at that time when I started working with Bill. I was 15. But he would pick me up. We would go and we did a lot of country shows, but we would go and set up a PA and I would help run cables or whatnot. And we did a few shows where somehow I met Scott Booker back then. I don't really recall specifically which one. Yeah, flash forward to later in life, selling him a television. He let me know that he had some work possibly coming up, and I stopped working at this electronics retailer and started working for Scott and Jennifer Booker at Hellfire Management. I worked for Hellfire Management for a while as an intern. Stuffing envelopes, sending a lot of records out. They had a lot of artists at the time that they helped manage and whatnot, and we would do the marketing, help promotion and whatnot. I met Wayne. They needed a ride to the airport at like some ridiculous time, 3 in the morning or something. Surprise to me, they didn't have anyone that could take them. So Scott had asked if anyone could take them. I said I didn't have a truck, but I could borrow one. I borrowed a truck. We loaded up all their gear, took them to the airport, and then that was kind of how I met Wayne. When they returned from all this promo press stuff for Yoshimi Bells, the Pink Robots, they just thought they needed another person. And so I kind of got a 2 or 3 week trial when we did the same stuff that they did in London. We did that same PR run in LA. And that's kind of how I got in with the Lips. I don't recall when the very first time hearing about the movie. I don't really recall the first time hearing about it to be involved in it. I remember hearing about it in van rides, and Wayne still working on sketchbooks and sketching at times at the hotels and such. I do finally kind of remember being excited about being asked to be involved finally, because there was a lot of things going on while that movie was finally actually being made. I did a little bit of the set building, but the main set building was done by Chad Odom and Wayne's nephew, Dennis Coyne. Those guys did a lot of the set building. I mean, with Wayne as well. Wayne obviously was the set designer and director and all that, but when it come down to the building of the sets, really, that was definitely Chad and Dennis. I was working on the UFO stuff. We were at all this other stuff, and I didn't know if I was going to be asked. I didn't know if I was actually going to be able to be involved in it, because Wayne had so many other different things going on, which he normally does. So, yeah, a couple of years of touring, and then I think I was involved with finally being asked to help out or whatever. And I remember being excited about it, because like at this point, you know, I think I'd seen a few clips from George at this point, that sets where I had already been built. Like Chad and Dennis had already been building these sets while we were doing these shows and such. So yeah, so I remember when I was finally asked about it, I remember being excited. I thought this was going to be a badass movie. Anytime even people that would just come and visit Wayne would put them to work, which sometimes is a big help, because there's a lot of things to get done. And then there's always deadlines and whatnot. But trips to the Ace Hardware, trips to Lowe's, some products that we were using, and some other set pieces that were actually just general construction stuff we were actually buying out to make this movie. I'm not sure what kind of chain reaction that had in the construction world or whatnot, but I definitely know that we would go to all the Lowe's in the metro and buy a bunch of, like I said, just all the supplies. The movie really should have been somehow sponsored by your best hardware outlet. Yeah, but the movie was sponsored by Wayne. Like Wayne budgeted all this movie himself. Like specifically, this was Wayne's movie. Like going to the hardware store in his truck, yada yada. Yeah. Oh yeah, we built this city. when it came down to it and time was specifically dedicated to try to get as much filming done, and we were allowed to make the movie or whatnot, there were some long days, like some 27-hour days, some 28-hour days, like, oh, well, that's only an hour more. They sing about it. Nobody told you there'll be days like these. Nothing lasts forever. Behind where we filmed at the silos downtown, where it's actually a wall climbing facility now, I believe. That used to be a grain elevator, and it was abandoned for a long time. We did a lot of filming in it, on it, and around it. And we would go to Crosslands and rent big machinery, and we would use that machinery to clear fields and do whatever else that we needed to do. Should we have been using that machinery? I mean, you know, hey, they rented it to us, so we used it. I remember those kind of days, like that was fun. You know, should we be doing this? We need it done. So sometimes all you got to do is do it yourself, you know? Yeah, so the field, I remember mowing that field, there's a shit ton of bull snakes. That was crazy. Some of the people that were coming, I'd never seen snakes like that before, whatever. That was interesting. But yeah, the filming was fun. Filming was long, like those long days. The long days were fun days, yeah. We would scout. One of the locations was actually scouted by Marty Coyne, his brother, rest in peace. He scouted out this big lot, corner lot, that was in pre-development. So some of it had been graded, but it had these large mounds of red dirt. And on black and white film, it gave this impression like, hey, that could be Mars or whatnot. And so we filmed in the middle of the day, like, oh man, it was hot. I got mad sunburn. I remember this because Bradley Beesley had the idea of, at the last of that shooting of that scene on that location, why don't you streak through, Justin? It'll be funny. And I wasn't too into it, but looking back, I was so glad I did it. Wayne was kind of pissed or whatever. I'm not sure where that footage is, but there's footage of me streaking through a scene. That was one of the long days. I learned the power of sunscreen after that, that's for sure. The filming of it was probably the funnest part, to be honest. Like, it was just as much work, but it was a lot of fun. There's certain scenes that we'll get the Fred Armisen that I'll never forget, Adam Goldberg, all the different actors that came in. That was a blast. Like, just the making of the film was an experience of its own. I first saw the whole thing a couple of times. There was a couple of edits. So as far as when did I first see the whole thing, I want to say I saw maybe 3 different cuts, if I remember right. And perhaps George might have been playing tricks on me, and maybe I saw the same cut twice. There's no telling with George Salisbury. But yeah, my first recollection of seeing the actual film that we took around and whatnot was a little bit of shock and awe. Like, it's a shocking film. I love the soundscape and the noise. I think for me that's what really works best in it or whatnot. But the story's heavy, no matter what your perspective is, and it's a challenging. It proposes challenging questions, right? And part of that, I think, at the time that I was able to be involved with it or whatever, some of those have stuck with me for my life, and I'm very appreciative of being a part of that film and some of that tough questions that it makes you ask, you know. Once the movie was in actual form, we took the movie to Burning Man. We took the movie to Lollapalooza. We took it to pretty much all the festivals in North America. Me, JG, Jake Harms, and then Shane. Shane is the one, I think, that set up the Burning Man, or maybe he's the one that planted the seed in Scott Booker's ear that we should take this to Burning Man. Yeah, but that was 2008. We took the movie to Burning Man, and we shouldn't probably have. We were marketing the movie. Some would say we were just showing the movie, but we were trying to get people to watch the movie. That's, in a sense, called marketing. And that's kind of against Burning Man's codes and whatnot, and we did it anyway. One of my best recollections definitely is all the stuff that we made. The popcorn machine, like wherever the popcorn machine is, that thing was badass. We took the movie in a circus tent to all the festivals. That's a great recollection. That was a great time. With that, we had all these tickets that we would give out that were printed on blotter paper. Eat Your Own Spaceship. And then on the other side, Hearts and Moths and Marijuana. That, and then Michelle Martin takes great, her work is great. She has a ton of photos, I'm sure. She took a bunch of photos and they would make postcards. This is one of the postcards from 2005. I'm sure I've got some more postcards elsewhere. Made these bumper stickers, had all this stuff. We had the popcorn machine. With the popcorn machine came popcorn boxes. Besides working for the fellas, like I've always been a big fan and continue to be a fan. I got the fellas to sign me a popcorn box at the time, of course. But yeah, good times. So much fun. Like one of the best memories was taking the film around like we did, like showing the movie at the Gorge, the Lollapalooza in Chicago, just everywhere we took the movie it was a great time. It was great to see the fans on a different soundscape share a soundscape with them with watching the movie, and to see all the different reactions too. Let me be frank, quite a few walkouts. Like, you know, I'm not trying to it's not everyone's cup of tea. Again, it presents challenging questions, and it can be a challenging film. Not only visually, but auditorily, you know. I think part of the, again, that's why I really do love the movie. I love part of the challenge that it presents on all the senses. Once the movie was actually in motion, I was involved from that point on. Like I said, they started picking up shows. We did a few private shows that a lot of people might not know about that were specifically for funding that movie. And that's kind of how Wayne got the money together. Like I said, Wayne paid for all that movie himself. That's how he was able to get those funds, was some of these extra shows and whatnot. And the movie, I think some of it took that, because like I said, we would run out of budget for the film or whatever, and going back and having the funds to remake the movie. And why some of those had to be refilmed was, let's never forget, and let's always celebrate the Steven overcoming addiction. That's a great story in its own right, and we should never forget that, and always celebrate the champion of Steven Drozd.